Malaysia.
Malaysia, truly Asia.
And it is about around midnight, something
Yeah.
like that. We've been traveling for like 30 days.
والله لا 10 ساعات وشوي وضاعت الشنطة
ضاعت الشنطة. وقفنا بسنغافورة كمان. وشو غيره؟
بس خلاص تصبحوا على خير. السلام عليكم.
نشوفكم بكرة إن شاء الله. God, it's so beautiful ما شاء الله.
اي والله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. جودي حتقول لكم احنا فين.
السلام عليكم. نحن هلا في كوالالمبور في ماليزيا. The home of the two towers. وهلا الطقس بجنن. Beautiful outside.
أي والله. وصلنا أمس بالليل مؤخر، يعني حوالي الساعة 2 بالليل وصلنا على الأوتيل.
أنت نمتي أنت امبارح؟
2:30 كذا.
2:30. أنا شي 3:30.
الله
متأخرين
أكبر.
بس الحمد لله هلا نحن فايقين ورايقين.
الحمد لله.
رايحين هلا نشوف البروفيسور
بروفيسور.
محمد هاشم كمالي. إن شاء الله بدنا نسأله أسئلة.
في أي جامعة عشان نعرفكم؟
هو
أي جامعة؟
بجامعة International Islamic University في ماليزيا. وإن شاء الله بدنا نسأله عن
الجامعة الإسلامية العالمية.
شكرا.
أيوة.
عم بتعلم أنا العربي أنا لساتني بس الحمد لله يعني
لا،
شوي
ما شاء الله
شوي.
عليها.
كل بلد اللي بنروح له بتعلم وبتحسن كمان بعربيتي.
والحمد لله ماليزيا إلى الآن جميلة جدا، خضار مرة كثير. وبعدين أنا كانوا يخوفوني يقولوا في وزغ كثير، ما في إلى الآن الحمد لله. مرة البلد حلوة ورائعة ومن جد بنتطلع إلى كثير من المناظر والمشاهد والناس اللي مرة فظيعين. هنا حنقابل بكرة كمان عندنا كم مقابلة وإن شاء الله تكونوا معنا. واليوم بعد الأخ البروفيسور محمد هاشم كمالي حنتقابل مع ابنة الوزير السابق مهاتير محمد.
مزبوط، اسمها مارينا.
أي نعم.
وإن شاء الله نسألها كمان أسئلة كيف هي كمان إنه شو how does she feel being daughter of the prime minister.
أيوة يب. في أسئلة كثير حنسألها. خليكم معنا ونشوفكم إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله
بعد شوي.
السلام عليكم.
باي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. الحمد لله نحن في ماليزيا مع الدكتور محمد هاشم كمالي وأصلكم من أفغانستان، وأنت الآن أستاذ في Islamic Institute of Malaysia في أصول الفقه. You have, I think, 13 books now. And your book on أصول الفقه, in my estimation, it's really the best textbook that's been written as an introduction into Usul al-Fiqh. One of the things that certainly in the West, and the West is important in that it has immense influence now in the world, and one of the issues that they often take umbrage with concerning Islam is the gender inequity. I mean, that's actually a term that they would use.
I've always believed that Islam stands for equality and justice and also human dignity. I think that these complement one another. If one talks about justice, of course, gender justice must be included. We have a clear text in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have granted dignity to the children of Adam. And of course, male and female are included. Islam's commitment to fair treatment, to justice, and these values are basically, the Quran does not speak of gender. Area of family relations, I think that the basic principles of Sharia would give you or of the Quran and Sunnah would give you a vision of equality that is slightly different to what we read in the books of fiqh. The scholastic jurisprudence has been, I think, heavily influenced by the patriarchal customs, medieval custom, and maybe the Arab culture. And we have seen that the initial openness that we have in the sources has been translated and justified through time. And we have, for example, in the Shafi mazhab, they would tell you that the diya, the blood money of a woman, is half of that of man, but the Hanafis would stand by an-nafs bin nafs. The Quran says life for life, and there is no basis for this kind of discrimination. Maybe there are some levels of distinctions that we have in Islamic law and jurisprudence in the area, for example, of inheritance. Women take half the share of that of man. But inheritance is a very finely balanced structure, and you need to know the context. And the context is such that the share within the family, some influence the other. But there is also in the juristic discourse some justification for that, is that a man is always take care of the nafaqah, supporting women in the family, whether it is the wife or the daughter prior to marriage. And there are certain other things like dower or maybe other that this to some extent balance out. Should there be a case, and I wrote in my book Equity and Fairness in Islam, where there is obvious situation of inequality. I have seen a woman here in Malaysia telling me that her brother never took care of the family or the father. The father passed away, and she was the one always standing by him. And now he claims double the share of the sister. In such situations, I think maybe bequest can be used as a way of moderating this, sometimes situation of unfair distribution. Up to 1/3 is permitted if someone feels that this is while you are alive. You can perhaps adjust that. Nowadays, the realities have changed. The realities are such that the women are also participants in the provision. If a woman is a professional person, they bring, income to the family.
Yes.
And I have read in Ibn Hazm's writing that this nafaqah, supporting the wife, is always an obligation of the husband, regardless of the
wealth of the
situation of the wealth of the wife. But he then quotes the mazahib and says that they are all somewhat mistaken. And he says that the Quran describes marriage mawadda wa rahma, that is friendship in compassion. Supposing that the husband is in need, he is ill or he cannot earn, and the wife is affluent, should it not also be the obligation of the wife to support the husband?
Right.
And I think that it is a perfectly reasonable suggestion in line with the vision that you have in the Quran. We are at the threshold of perhaps an inevitable movement. Islam accepts the fact that the ahkam change with the change of realities and conditions. There is a legal maxim that a fatwa and a hukum change with the change of time.
الحكم يدور مع علته.
Do you mean
The
in
other
reference
is-
also to women, specifically? I mean, if we're considering women with this change, and there's so much change with women in the Muslim world, what do you think are the main rights or laws that you think should be expanding?
In Morocco, they have introduced a lot of changes in the area of marriage and divorce. And one thing that this idea of wilaya or guardianship has been revised. Man and woman are now more or less seen as equal partners. The kind of, interpretations that we had, that a woman is in all situations committed to obey the husband and whatever he says. This is now, there is a certain healthy adjustment in that. Because the Quran tells us that you must make decisions through consultation, even within the family.
Part of the problem is the word ta'a, which most Arabs understand to mean this kind of obsequiousness,
Right.
that it's an absolute obedience where there's no the root word, the Arabs say like Raghab al-Isbahani and others, that it's lana, it's really from a type of tractability. It's that people aren't obstinate.
Yes.
in their nature.
Exactly.
And the Prophet ﷺ said that al-mu'minu hayyinun layyinun idha qidan qad, that the believer by nature is easygoing, that if you lead him one way, he'll go that way.
There is the kind of rigidity you see in the scholastic jurisprudence
Right.
that has set in. But when you look at the sources, this is not. There
it's
is
not
a lot
always
of
the case.
reciprocity,
Yes.
and the kind of, the Quranic description of marriage in so many places. Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna.
ba'dukum min ba'd.
There is mawadda and rahma, and there is the fair treatment of one another. These would open
لَهُنَّ
avenues.
مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ.
Naam. The idea of ta'a, you earlier, in the Quran there is this immediately, أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولُو الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنْ تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ. There is ta'a, there is obedience, but if you have a dispute, bring it up in discussion.
So this is it. If you have a dispute, you have to have something strong to go back to.
There is an aspect of the fiqh jurisprudence that permits child marriage, for example. But now through the determination of a marriageable age, we have actually adjusted that situation, and under the present law, all marriages are supposed to be by adult partners. We also have moved from the fiqhi position in regards to divorce. It is now for the court of justice, and a divorce outside the court of law is not recognized. So this is another adjustment from earlier position to a position that we are moving toward the idea of equality.
What if you have a state or a country like the United States in the West where they're accepting a lot of adjustments and it's going the opposite extreme? When do you draw that line and say this is too much going into Islamic?
I think the Quran has given us the guideline, وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. We ought to now move not to the one extreme nor to the other, and find our bearing. What is wasatiyya? What is to be in the middle position? Is wasatiyya consists of justice, moderation, and the values combined together. The leaders, the ulul amr, and their judgment about what they consider to be realistic and fair, they have a say in it. But this is also the ulul amr, the legitimate leaders of the community. They have the authority to determine what is the perception of equality. Of course, this could not be arbitrary.
Well, even the definition ulul amri, I mean, you know that for the first 3 centuries it was just generally understood to be the ulama, and then later they al-umara wal-ulama, put them together, ahlul halli wal-aqad,
Yes.
the people of unbinding and binding, the people that were able to analyze problems, look at them. Part of the problem, though, is where are they?
The ulul amr today are the elected assembly, the head of state, the prime minister, ministers, and the parliament. These are the ulul amr of our times. If you put it to the ulama in the umara, it's difficult now. Most of the constitutions and laws, especially constitutional law, they did not claim their origin from the Islamic tradition. And the Muslim masses did not really identify themselves closely with them, and the leaders were also, not from among them.
There's a social science theory called congruence theory. At its most fundamental principle, it states that a government is only effective to the degree with which the governing principles are replicated throughout the other social institutions of the society. So how do you change? How do you go from very despotic environments to a democracy when you don't have any of the social institutions that are going to support?
This is why I'm saying that it's not really enough to introduce a piece of legislation. You have to educate, to work, to hold seminars and go to the villages and meet the people and generate discussion, and this is the way.
I agree with you, but on the other hand, for me, what I see in the Muslim world is total lack of training. We don't have jurists that are at the levels that can do this type of work is really serious, rigorous, intellectual, and spiritual work.
Indeed.
Because people have to be, just in such a spiritual state to be able to navigate these waters.
My response to this is that this is part of the remnants of taqlid. We are being told that the mujtahids are extinct, that we do not have qualified people, and that Al-Ghazali, he himself wrote in Al-Mustasfa, in our time, mujtahid is extinct. And later, Al-Shawkani, centuries later, says, did he forget himself? He was one. We do have...
I believe that, yeah, but there are not many, and then the opportunities...
Not many, but I feel that in the Quran you have al-kitab wal-hikmah. There's not that life is not such a thing that you live your everyday life by the rule and by the text. It's the wisdom and leadership. And I think that the human touch does things that no text can do.
What were the main laws that you felt for women needed reinforcement and they were necessary to kind of make things right?
A lot of the problems that the women of Afghanistan face, they are related to these oppressive, patriarchal, tribal customs that recognize very little. Even the laws of inheritance that are Quranic, women are not given the right of their share in inheritance. There is forced marriage, child marriage. Marriage has become a commercial deal. I hear that because of the proactive action we have in the Constitution, we had a quota system that there must be 2 women representatives from every province to sit in Parliament.
The reforms that need to be done, if they're going to be implemented, need to be realistic.
About the affirmative action concerning women, I admit there is superficiality in that, but without it you will not see anything that would be near the sort of participatory government or parliament that is representative of half of Afghanistan. The 127-year-old woman, and I was reading about her, Malalai Joya. She was a refugee in Pakistan and then Iran, and she comes in member of parliament. And she is very active. She speaks for the rights of women, for good values. And one thing that she also said is that a lot of the people in parliament sitting are warlords and their hands are stained with, she raised an uproar in parliament. But she's courageous. She says that, I know that she's been threatened, for her life.
When these women are alienated and and attacked and aggressed upon. I mean, to me, one of the results that I find very frightening is that more and more women will begin to see Islam as being this oppressive system that really doesn't want the women to get their fair place in
But this is,
society.
I think, Sheikh Hamza, Malaysia kind of is a very good example to face that kind of accusation, because I mean, since we arrived last night in the airport, Muslim women with their hijab are all over the airport. I mean, even in the toll when we were paying. I mean, what do you think helped them so much to become in the public eye like that, with their identity so strong?
I think that the Malay, because of the challenges, the multi-religious composition of Malaysia, 30% Chinese, 12% Indians, Muslims about 50 or over 50%. The reality of pluralism itself has faced the Muslim here with a challenge to have their identity. And the Malay really by definition is a person, a Muslim, who knows the language in the adat of Malaysia, the Muslim community. So they see themselves as really, Islam is a part of their living tradition.
Yes, it's very clear.
That is, I think, a strong feature of their. The other is that there has been consistent pattern of bringing moderate reforms over a period of many, many decades, for example. And the third factor is that the version by history, Islam here has come in a different way.
Through trade.
Through Sufis and trade and this.
It's a gentle Islam.
It's a gentle Islam.
Historically, the Malay culture is a matriarchal culture.
Yes.
Even before Islam. And in fact, one of their foundational myths is about the Malay princess who...
Yeah, the matrilineal line in Seremban, just about an hour away from Kuala Lumpur, is the woman who is really the principal link.
Yeah.
But in Malaysia, we have seen it in reality, that schooling in villages, the universities, generally the female population is in the majority. And in classes, their results are much better, to the extent that it becomes a little embarrassing. Education is the key to improvement, whatever you are talking about. And we are talking about public issues of public concern. Unless you have enlightened the people, the understanding of your challenges, you are hampered.
We want to really thank you for giving us this time. And like I said, I benefited from your books. I think they're wonderful contributions to the increasing Islamic literature in the West in English. And I really hope that you have increased tawfiq. And I know you've done an immense amount of work in Afghanistan. We all pray for that country, your country, to come into a brighter future. So, Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to meet
Thank
with
you.
you.